We're back for another riveting episode of Dev Diaries. We are joined today by Karl Johnson, who is a programmer at Cyan, which is the company that made Myst, which is one of the first adventure games that I ever fell in love with. So I'm super excited to talk to him today, and we're going to be playing some realMyst Masterpiece Edition, which is part of our Steam sale. And the reason this is extra super exciting is that we found out kind of by accident that Karl has type 1 diabetes. So
Yep.
that's so we have two reasons to have you on the stream today. Really excited to have you. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So maybe we could start with when were you diagnosed? I don't even know. Were you a kid? Were you an adult?
Oh, I was actually an adult. It was late onset juvenile, and I want to say I was like 19 or 20, like right
Okay.
around there.
Oh, wow.
Um, and my sister, she actually got diagnosed with type 1 in her 30s.
Oh
So,
wow.
so
Wow.
yeah, apparently we have some late onset type 1.
Yeah. And did you have other family members previously,
No,
or wow,
no, just
interesting.
my sister and myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So were you in college at the time?
No, no. I did a little bit of running start, which is like college during high school,
Okay.
and then like right after high school, I started working at Cyan. So I was
Oh
actually
wow.
Oh,
already
wow.
at Cyan. Yeah.
Wow. That's you're a early bloomer. I don't know what the word is for that. A precocious child. Well, how did that happen? How did you end up working at Cyan at 19?
Oh, it's weird. So I mean, like Spokane, where Cyan's based out of, is a pretty small town. I mean, it's
Hmm.
like a city. It's a, but it's still like a small community. And yeah, like I happened to one time meet one of the higher ups at Cyan.
Hmm.
They came into like a little my my job, which was making websites for like a environmental engineering thing, um, and we chatted a bit, and anyway, time had passed, and my friend had actually got a job there,
Hmm.
and doing QA. And he was like, "Yeah, I think you'd be great for this job." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll apply. I'll give it a shot." And I got in, and lo and behold, the person who came into my office that one day was Chris Brankamp, and he was one of the like he did audio at one point. I know on Mist, but yeah, he sent me with my paperwork, and he's the one who got me all signed up. So yeah, I've just started in QA and been there ever since.
Hmm. So we were talking before the stream started. The program, the Breakthrough T1D Play program, was co-founded by Dan Connors, who's my former boss. He was the CEO at Telltale Games. Before that, he was at LucasArts, and he actually also started in QA. He was his first job at LucasArts with QA and Day of the Tentacle, and then Sam Max hit the road. So definitely QA is a good entry point for many people
Yeah,
who go on to have long careers in other parts of the game industry.
yeah. I mean, you have so many talented people who are like in production of video games that
Hmm.
um, if you're really intent on getting in, you just kind of try to get in however you can, right?
Right.
And I feel like very lucky to be motivated to do this kind of work and really like it. But yeah, you just kind of claw your way in and stay in as long as you can.
So what games were they working on when you started there in QA?
Uru,
Okay.
and that was just like it was an MMO at the time,
Hmm.
and it had a single player component too, but it was really intended to be a multiplayer game. So yeah, I started testing out that game.
Hmm. And that was the game that was on GameTap.
Yep.
And Sam and Max was also on GameTap. So like I was saying before, we Dan and I had some intersections with the people at Cyan. We we went down to the Game Tab office in Atlanta together. I remember having too much wine with your community manager. So if he's still there, apologize to him for that. Um, yeah, but long history in the game world. I think something that's really cool about Cyan is that they started making these games in the 90s and are still basically doing the same thing and have been, this kind of independent company that whole time. So it's a really nice it just makes me feel like, oh, I love those guys.
Thanks.
How
Yeah.
big is the company now?
I mean, we're hold on. I might have to open up Slack. We've got we've got quite a few. Let's see. I want to get a decent answer here. We're pretty close to 30 people at this point.
Okay.
We've been a bigger studio before,
Right.
but we're actually like this is like a good size. Not that we wouldn't, hire more folks or anything, but like definitely we work pretty well, especially remotely at this size
Mhm.
of team.
Mhm.
The something that I think helps with companies in just like longevity is kind of recognizing how big you need to be and how big you can afford to be. And that was obviously a problem that Telltale faced in the end, was that they got much too big and couldn't sustain it. So, 30 employees is a perfectly respectable size
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
if that's how you can keep the lights on and keep everybody in business. So, mad respect to them for figuring out how to do it for all of these years.
it yeah, it takes a lot of work. You know, we always say like we have people who wear multiple hats, but like
Mhm.
everybody's just got like a cartoonish stack of hats on their head all the time. So we try and just get as much done as we can and have fun at it. So
Mhm. And you're still making new games. I know that Myst and like there was the Riven remaster that came out last year, but you've also got um newer games in development as well, right?
maybe.
Maybe, or is that well, I know Firmament, I guess it's not that new anymore, but Firmament is in our sale, and it's a
Yeah.
newer game
Mhm.
from Cyan. Yeah.
Yep. So after we released Mist, we had Firmament and Riven that came out, and Firmament had been in production, at least a lot of pre-production, before Mist,
Mhm.
before we embarked on that, and so yeah, it ended up being like we with the same team we were working on several titles at once, and um, it it was pretty crazy. But yeah, Firmament is actually a whole. It's like a change in the way like you would interact with like a first person puzzle game where we try to get rid of the like clicky or like the hotspot finding
Mhm.
pixel hunt that that kind of plagued the past, and started thinking about like different ways that you could make a 3D first person puzzle adventure game.
So Myst was a game that came out in 1993, and it was super groundbreaking at the time because it was like the first game to really take advantage of multimedia CD-ROM drives basically on a computer. And it was a huge mainstream hit. It was like on the cover of Newsweek. It Everybody was talking about this, like, what is this computer game? And from an adventure game standpoint, it was a really big deal because it was an adventure game, which is kind of a niche, um, yeah, a niche genre. But everybody was talking about this game. And my dad went out and bought a CD-ROM drive so we could play Myst. I remember it being like he hooked our computer up to like our stereo system, and I remember like walking into the planetarium for the first time, and there's this music and the graphics were gorgeous, and it was just like this was like a huge just experience, and it was the best selling game for a really long time, I think, until The Sims came out. And The Sims dethroned it in like 2000. um and then realMyst came out around maybe 2001, I think, and it was
Mhm.
real 3D. The original Myst was like a slideshow game, and where you saw location, and then you clicked and it kind of moved you forward and you saw another location. And realMyst took that into like what we now know as kind of an open world real-time 3D. And that was, I remember playing that in my apartment after college. So it was probably like 2002 that I played it. Now tell us, realMyst Masterpiece Edition, which is the one that's in our sale and the one that you programmed. Like, tell us how did we go from realMyst to realMyst Masterpiece Edition?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about, how hard it is to keep like a company going, right?
Yeah.
And it's no secret that game companies they have soaring highs and like some pretty dark lows. And so we had worked on some other projects on the side, and this is after the Uru on Game Tab. Um, and we had worked on some projects like a lot of mobile stuff, um, and and they were basically like, "Oh, well, right now it's looking like things are doing too hot, so we gotta start letting some folks go." And so I remember I was like, "Oh crap." I just got here, it felt
Right.
like,
Mm.
I need to I really wanted to, keep working on games, um and the area that we're from, it's really small. So I went and talked to uh Rand and Tony, and Rand is the founder of the company, co-founder, and Tony is the president, and he and I made this pitch. I said, "Well, we learned how to use Unity, and Unity was like a game engine that you could just go buy. It still is,
Yeah.
but I was like, we could probably get something working in it, and maybe we could release it on like an iPad." And
Mm.
they were kind of interested, and they were like, "Yeah, let's see what happens in a week." Like we want things to keep going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it, so another engineer and I, his name's Jason. Um, Jason Calvert and myself, we went and like we found like the old machines that of developers that were in the building and stuff like that. We like got a bunch of data off of it. Um, we created tools that took uh, this game was like the original realMyst was built in 2001, so the tool sets had completely changed from then,
Mhm.
and they were in like uh, I think it was called like, or it was 3D Studio Max, but they called it like Max or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and so we figured out how to get all this stuff converted over anyway. And at the end of that week, we showed them a demo of Channelwood, and they were like, "You got 9 months." So uh, they they let us put it together, and actually released an iPad version of that first,
Mhm.
and it worked. Like people enjoyed it, and the App Store. I mean, it wasn't new per se, but I
Mhm.
think having a fully fledged adventure game on it was rare. And then after that, we were like, "Well, what do we do with this?" And we're like, "Well, let's release it on PC and let's give it some visual upgrades and some other things that we would like to tweak if we had the time." And so that's what we did.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's, and that brings me back to just what it was like in 2013, 2014. Like the iPad, iOS was the place to be. Like that was, if you're putting out an indie game or like you had to be on iOS because that's where everybody was buying their games. And um, Telltale tried it. They had some iPad games, but the first one was Sam and Max, the first episode of Sam and Max season 3. And it was actually a
Mm.
debut title on the iPad when the iPad came out. Um, and the performance was just so bad. It was just so hard to get a full 3D game working well on an iPad. So did you run into problems like that, or did it run pretty well for you guys?
Well, I mean, it did initially run well, and that was like without materials, things that actually make it look good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So it's way stripped down.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and so as you go through the course of development, you figure out you need things to look nice and
Mhm,
feel good, and as we would add content, um, we were definitely hit with like performance issues.
mhm,
Um, I still remember, like, loading levels was, like, a really big issue, uh, on the iPad, at the time anyway, and so we were constantly loading levels in and out, trying to balance, like, the amount of memory we were consuming, with the performance we needed.
mhm,
So yeah, it was very difficult, and, we were, like, a really small team put this together. So it's not like we had a ton of additional resources. We just had to just really like if we ran into a problem, like you got to sit there and fix it because
mhm.
no one's coming to save you off of this ship, right?
Yeah, you're the
So
that's with you. Either you fix it or it ships with it, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And then you're gonna hear about it.
And and we did have some advantages. The game did come out in 2001, the
Mhm,
original, and
mhm,
and a lot of the assets were from that. And so those assets like really ran well on a device like an iPad.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, but then once you start talking about like materials and things like that, there were like newer and better ways to do things, and some older things that didn't work quite the same way. So we had to do quite a few things to get those things working, and then the performance bottlenecks to follow that. So
Mhm. Well, why don't we load it up? Let's take a
Yeah.
look at the fruits of your labor here.
So we do get
Alright,
the
so
choice between classic mist movement in this game and free
free
roam.
roam. What do you
yeah,
recommend, girl?
um, so I'll just tell you the difference real quick.
Mhm.
The classic Mist version is a point and click, like a truly point and click version.
Right.
Hmm.
One of the original developers actually went and found all the camera angles from the original game. And so Classic Mist will take you through that specific like gameplay style. And Free Roam is much more modern in the terms where you can just move around like WSAD movement and mouse look. It just doesn't constrain you to like certain nodes.
Okay.
And you also,
So
we had a question in the chat. What's the difference between Mist Masterpiece Edition and Real Mist Masterpiece Edition? Can you just explain that really briefly?
yeah, so Mist Masterpiece Edition is the point and click 2D image version of the game.
It's the original.
So yeah, yeah, and so they ended up like redoing that and making it like more visually impressive.
Mhm,
And Real Mist is a real time 3D version of that. And then Real Mist Masterpiece is things that we wanted to add
the
to it.
newer, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I vote for the free roam because that is the real Mist
The
experience.
the real mist
Yeah.
experience. Yeah. I feel like that would be a little bit more.
More dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and here we are. God, this is so like nostalgic for me.
For context for anyone watching, I have never played Mist in my life. So this is all new to me. But I do have two people here who are probably, it sounds very familiar with this game.
So Myst was interesting as like an adventure game because up until that point, most of the adventure games were um, like Sierra and LucasArts style games. So it's like cartoon, 2D. You're kind of controlling a character who walks across the screen. You've got verbs or something. You're typing in sentences of what you want them to do, or you're clicking the talk icon or whatever to talk to people. Myst was totally different because Myst just kind of drops you down in a location. You've fallen out of this book into this onto this island, and it didn't tell you anything. It was just all you have to do is kind of start exploring and figure it out yourself, and there's no other people there. And it's a first person perspective, so it's like you're seeing through the eyes of your character as opposed to seeing your character on the screen. So in 1993, like nobody had seen anything like this before, and somebody's probably in the world could hear that and correct me and be like, well, actually, there were other games like this, but this was really the first of these kind of first-person exploration games that then became its own subgenre, really, in the time after that.
Huh. Don't know what that's about. That seems suspicious, but...
Do you remember playing Myst or Riven, any of those before you started working at Cyan?
Yes, so I remember in elementary school, we had like the old Caddy CD-ROM drive, and it was hooked up to a Mac, and I remember going into the library and being able to like play it, and
Yeah.
it was really cool. And of course, there was not enough time that like each kid was allowed,
Right.
Yeah.
on the computer to like
Yeah.
finish, especially this game. But yeah, it was pretty early in my life, like being able to play this game, and yeah, I mean, I work there now, so
Yeah.
it left a mark.
So I just wanted to say, Nukes, when you opened that book that had the little staticky thing and there was a guy talking in there.
That was freaky.
So there are two brothers in this game, and they're trapped in these books, and the two brothers played by the two founders of the company of Cyan. So that was
okay.
And
A lot of...
the postmortem that I linked to earlier, I'll stick the link in the chat again, goes into some detail about like how they made the original Myst and the fact that they made it with HyperCard, right? That they were programming HyperCard, which is like an old school Mac visual programming language, and it was like two young kids in their parents' garage or something, right? Making this game. So the legacy that it's had is very kind of long and interesting, I think, all throughout the company story. And I also, while you were talking, remembered that the other founder of Telltale, Kevin Bruner, when Myst came out, he was a big fan of the Infocom games like Zork and The Witness and games like that. And when Myst came out, he remembered like people coming into work and talking about like, oh, how do you get that page and how do you get over to that island? And it reminded him of when he was a little kid playing the Infocom games and having those conversations with kids in school. So it's, you know, the legacy of Myst kind of influencing other game designers and game visionaries is long.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy. Like a lot of the people that I work with are like I work with because they love this game.
Yeah.
Like they love this. Yeah, it's had a obvious profound effect on the industry.
Yeah.
Do you feel like working on these games have made you better at the style of point and click adventure games? No.
Nope, not even a little bit. I feel like there are certain puzzle games that I can kind of see through and like what they're trying to accomplish with the puzzle, but no, I think there are so many like clever developers and they want to, just like, you know, we do, they want to show us something new and yeah, and I'm constantly like in awe of what people are doing in even just like the first person adventure space.
And actually, I'm going to take out my warning: 3 Myst hints inside. Do not only open it in dire need. So this came in the original box. And the journal came in the box too, but it was just blank pages. You're supposed to write your notes. And this was a sealed thing. So this is back in the days before we had walkthroughs on the internet, before we had access to the internet, unless like our parents dialed in for us. If you were stuck in a game, you would buy a hint book. And that was like a big deal. My dad used to have to hide the hint books from me, so I didn't like read all of the answers too quickly. But Myst came with 3 hints, and they were in a sealed envelope, and you're only supposed to open it if you really, really needed help. So we're gonna see what they say here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going.
It
There
says
definitely is a puzzle.
There definitely is a puzzle here, and I don't think the solution is putting all of the rectangles, but I have to do it anyways.
I get that.
it says hint 1, access to the places of protection starts by examining everything on the library walls.
Oh.
Are we, and that's where we are, right? This is the library?
Yep.
Or no?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So there's the other founder of Cyan. So the way this works is when you pick up those pages, that will kind of give them more. I don't know if it's making them stronger or it's like making them more able to communicate or something.
Mm.
So the more of those pages you find, you want to bring them back here and put them on the books, and they'll be able to talk more to
Okay.
you. Did I get that right,
Yeah.
Karl? That's the
So the books, and you'll find several in this game. They're called linking books, and they allow you to go to a location that book describes. And so these pages are missing from these books, so that link is broken. And so through the course of the game, you're finding these pages and restoring that link.
There's so much to explore. I can see how in the early 90s too, this would be absolutely mind-blowing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
it
is
was huge. It was just a huge world.
Yeah.
it's funny. This game looks far more like the original than the latest iteration that we did, and it's just fun to see like how surreal and how I don't know. There's like this '90s quality to like every surface.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You were flipping switches outside, and I think that is generally a good idea.
Oh, okay.
And now go hit the button there. That should do it.
Hey,
The plot thickens.
plot thickens.
So those little video clips were QuickTime originally.
Yes. Yeah, I think so in the original Myst, yeah, they were the QuickTime movies, and then in the original realMyst, they used a thing called Bink Video.
Yeah, I remember Bing.
Yeah.
That was part of the, the future is here kind of mania over a game like this. The idea that you could see little video clips on your computer. I think that's why it kind of had the cultural significance that it did in 93, 94, because it was like a grown-up game. It was like this is a game for adults who have computers, as opposed to, video game that your kid's gonna play on their Nintendo.
Which we've got here. Oh, it's added more stuff to it.
I think every time you flip one of those switches, it turns on the thing that's related to the switch that you flipped.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go. So, realMyst was the first foray into real-time 3D that Cyan had done,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a company called Headspin, and Cyan acquired this company, and I got to meet a lot of that team, but this engine is, or the engine from the original realMyst was the basis for like what would become Uru and Myst 5. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's pretty cool that it had like a pretty interesting legacy, and they started with making realMyst.
And that was just because 3D was the big thing, and they decided to jump on the bandwagon, or?
That's a great question. I'm not entirely sure. If I had to guess, just because of some of the things that they wanted to do in Uru,
Okay.
though it would only be possible in real-time 3D. Um, and yeah, and this game is like realMyst is kind of almost like the development test bed for
Yeah, feel like a proof of
those
concept kind of.
ideas and like how to get it to work. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense. That you take what you know first and kind of tinker with it, and then get another bite on the apple on Myst. Everybody, you know, everyone's going to buy a new version of Myst that's 3D just because they want the new shiny thing. I did. I
Yeah.
do remember the game giving me motion sickness though.
There was a
It
lot
was.
of fog in the original. I think the undulating waves, like right
Yeah,
at the
it was.
dock were.
Is Channelwood the one that's up in the trees?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember that making me feel a little unwell. One of my favorite Myst stories is that so again, we didn't have walkthroughs. I didn't have a hint book for this one, and you could be stuck for like months on this and just not know how to do it, and then you figure something out. And I was calling Sierra Online to order a game with my dad's credit card, which he told me I could use. And while the guy was like running the credit card, he's asking me questions about, and this was back when you could like call a company and talk to a person to order a game, right? And while I was talking to the guy, the Sierra customer support guy, he's asking what games are you playing right now? And I mentioned Myst. And I told him I'm stuck. That I'm stuck at this point in Myst. And the Sierra customer support guy told me how to get through that part of Myst while we were on the phone while I was ordering a Sierra game. So it was like everybody was playing this game at the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of like journal sharing,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the most fun things that like the fans and people who play the game, uh, like one of the fun things that I get to experience is like people sharing those journals, like some
Yeah.
of their notes,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, it's always awesome.
Well, and it also at the time, now people play through games so fast, and a game comes out, and like the next day, there's a full playthrough on Twitch, and so it's like
Oh yeah,
there were no secrets. But at the time, I mean, it probably took several months before anybody knew how this game ended.
yeah.
Um, and I actually remember the end. Um, there is an ending to this game, but it didn't. It felt a little bit like the game could have kept going afterwards. And I remember talking to a kid at school and being like, "I'm not sure if I got to the end of this game or not." And he's like, "I have the strategy guide," and he brought the strategy guide in for me to read. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I finished it. I solved it." So, Carl, did you have to know like every puzzle in order to program this game?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny because I had definitely played through it before working on it. And then having made this version, it was like,
Mhm.
oh, now you have to become like intimately familiar with so like every puzzle, how it works. Um and yeah, and like having other people work on it too, like we would divvy stuff up. So like I wasn't the only programmer. Again, I'm big shout out to Jason. But we we basically just kind of split up the whole game and like every system and everything and went through it. So there are puzzles that he is more familiar with, but
Mhm.
um, I think it's not that I'm not familiar with it or unfamiliar. It's more that I think once you start working on stuff like this, you become very intimately like knowledgeable about all the little details that are supposed to go
Right.
with it.
All
And
right.
so were you
Hmm.
basically you're bringing this game into Unity, or did you basically you've got the original X2 and you're kind of starting from scratch just based on how it worked over there?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And we had not only
Uh-oh.
the
I figured it out and then I reset it. Oh,
you know,
Oh, yeah. Where's our time machine?
but the uh yeah, it was nice to be able to look at the previous games, right?
Mhm.
Like we could look at realMyst, Myst and Myst Masterpiece, all of those, and this is kind of a culmination of those ideas.
Are there
But
any differences? Like the puzzles always work the same way, right? There's no.
yeah, we have a few Easter eggs in here. There's with Unity, we were in modern hardware, or more modern hardware, I should say, because this was still a little while ago. We were able to have things like
Good job, man.
specular detail like on metal surfaces and stuff like that. So, and one of our artists, and he actually came from Headspin, that company that Cyan acquired. He actually was one of the artists who plussed up this version from our iOS Unity attempt.
And are they artists who had worked on the original or had been there a long time?
Yeah. So one of the artists, he came on during that the original realMyst time. And it's funny. It's something that people wouldn't say or see, but there's a section where there's like little mouse droppings from like a area where it's been like long abandoned, and each one of the little mouse poops have a developer's name on it. That was fun to uncover. But he was one of those. And then one of the other artists, he's still one of our artists today. So yeah, and worked on this version, the iOS version, and we have a newer one that like supports VR.
Oh wow! So is it correct, Karl, that each of these places that we're trying to unlock will lead us to another island eventually?
Yeah, actually, you are really, really, really close. So that gear shape, that's like in front of the 221 handle puzzle thing, is somewhere else on the island.
Oh. Okay.
That half gear kind of thing?
Yeah, yep. But you might remember it as a full gear. But it's now a half gear.
Okay.
Do
you remember what that is?
I don't. Oh. That gear.
Oh, at the beginning?
Oh.
Oh yeah. There you go. There's your book. Go to another island.
Oh, that's so satisfying. I do love games like this because it's once you can sit there and be like, not know what's like, feel like you don't know what's going on, and you're like just clicking, and then it feels so good when it finally the light bulb goes off.
Yeah. I have written down that you want. Well, I know what symbols you want, but I don't know how to describe them to you.
That's another thing why like people had a lot of like journals is there's no there's a lot of puzzles that have like shapes so being able to communicate that.
How did you if you're on like a bulletin board or something in 1993, how do you explain to someone like you want the symbol that looks like an upside down horseshoe or a triangle? Like you couldn't draw them, you couldn't put a picture of what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
Something that I loved about the different islands too is that each one has its own look. Like this one, you went upstairs and it had like this kind of, not Victorian, but this kind of Renaissance era decor and stuff. And then there's another island, I think, where there's gulls and somebody's been doing really bad things. It's just each one of them had kind of their own personality.
Yeah.
one, actually. Is this the Bad Island? I'm looking at that axe. It looks dangerous. Yeah, this is the Bad Island.
Oh.
The one with the, I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on here?
Yeah, this doesn't look very friendly in here.
Anyway, we can wrap up. You don't have to keep playing. You don't have to keep looking at islands if you don't want to. This did take me months and months and months of my life to solve, and I think it would probably take me that long again. I don't really remember anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it seems like there's a lot of good deep puzzles that
Yeah.
are head scratchers that if I didn't have you two here kind of like pointing me where to go, it probably would be. But that's like the fun of it though, is you're exploring and seeing, okay, what changes what. You know, I would have eventually found that gear on my own, but
Right.
and that would have been oh hey, yeah, that did change, and now we have this book here.
It was a good like collaborative game too. If you're like playing as a group, you know, we used to have friends over and you'd be like sitting at the computer together, like, oh, try this, try that. So it was good for that kind of group play.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there a day-night cycle that goes on here if you stand long enough?
I don't know about this age. There is on
Sure.
Myst.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that being like a selling point of realMyst, that like the sun goes, you know, there's sunset and sunrise.
Yeah.
It was cool. But
I think or for sure it's Myst. For sure Myst
Mhm.
Island, that initial island. And yeah, with dynamic lighting, you know, I would assume we have it on all the ages, but
Right.
it's a foggy 10 years. Or 12.
Yeah, I can't believe that this remake is 10 years old already.